No, that's okay.
Let's get started. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thanks, everybody, for coming together. Our first meeting, as usual, is Mike and the Mortgage Insurance Committee. So let's just jump right in and get that started. Lauren, you want to?
Sure. I note that Todd Sherman, representing Robert Mujica, Director of the Division of the Budget, is participating in the meeting via video conference from the New York State Division of the Budget Conference Center at the Capitol Building, room 131 in Albany. Can you hear us?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Todd.
I'd like to request a motion and a second to call to order the April 12, 2018 meeting of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. The motion and second recorded will be used for all action items before the committee unless specific items call for a different vote or unless any committee member wishes to record his or her vote differently. The minutes of the meeting of the Mortgage Insurance Committee held on March 8, 2018 will be deemed approved absent correction from the directors.
The meeting will move to the Mortgage Insurance Committee program action items. The first item, item 2, is a resolution recommending approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $23,495,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Fountain Seaview, Building B6 in Brooklyn, Kings County. Mike, you're going to review this for us, please?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
This project comprises the development of 335 low-income units, including 66 special needs units for clients of the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, and 85 moderate income units that are income restricted at 80% of the AMI. The project is being developed by the Archer companies, experienced and well-regarded developers of affordable housing. And this will be the 9th loan we have insured for entities controlled by the Archer companies, with total exposure of $91.2 million. The insured loan amount is only $55,700 per unit, which equals 17% of the project's total development cost of $329,000 per unit. So this is a very efficient project. And the project will break even with a pro forma 10% vacancy loss or a 9% increase in operating expenses.
Mike, thank you. Any questions for Mike on this project? If not, Lauren will read the resolution.
The resolution before the Mortgage Insurance Committee is recommending approval of mortgage insurance and a commitment for the provision thereof for Fountain Seaview, Building B6, 894 Fountain Avenue, Brooklyn, Kings County. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried.
Todd, thanks. Thank you. Item 3 is a resolution recommending approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $7,720,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Riverview Manor and Peter Stednitsky Gardens in Buffalo, Erie County. Thank you, Mike.
This project comprises the rehab of 212 low-income units for seniors. All of the units are covered by project-based Section 8 HAB contracts. The project is being developed by Mike Rooney and Nicola Diacetis, and this was the 10th loan that we have insured for entities controlled by them, with total exposure of $27 million. They are experienced developers, predominantly a rehab of low-income projects in New York City.
In New York City?
Yes. So this is somewhat unusual.
Yeah, in Buffalo.
We've insured 10 loans for them, and 9 of the 10 have been in Brooklyn, which is good. The insured loan amount is $36,400 per unit, which equals 31% of the project's total development cost of $117,000 per unit. And the project would break even with an 11% pro forma vacancy loss or an 11% increase in operating expenses.
Great. Any questions on this project for Mike? John?
Thank you. Quick question. What are the rough terms of the pilot agreement with the city? No. And if you don't, if you can just call me later, I'm not going to hold things up over that.
Okay. I think probably at the HFA meeting, they'll
Yeah.
go into greater
So-
depth on the pilot.
And the HFA loan is subject to the confirmation of the pilot from the city, right, or the
Yeah.
county? It's Erie County? So we can bring that up, or that'll probably come up, it's some details in the project
Yeah.
write-up, I recall.
Yeah, at the HFA meeting.
Yeah, okay. So hold that question then. Any other questions for Mike on this, or Lauren for that matter, because, does more than read the resolution. If there aren't any, Lauren, why don't you read the resolution?
Okay, the resolution. Before the Mortgage Insurance Committee is recommending approval of mortgage insurance and a commitment for the provision thereof for Riverview Manor, 8 Hurdle Avenue, and Peter Stednitsky Gardens, 100 Beck Street, Buffalo, Erie County. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried.
Very good, thank you. Item 4 is a resolution recommending approval of 50% mortgage insurance on a $33,732,000 and a $15,268,000 for $49 million total. HDC, permanent co-first mortgage loans, so there are 2 of them, for Franklin Plaza Apartments, which is here in Manhattan, New York County, up on 2nd Avenue, I think.
This project comprises the rehab of 1,634 moderate-income Mitchell-Lama units on 2nd Avenue and 106th Street in East Harlem. The project is a cooperative developed as a limited-profit housing company organized in 1961 under Article 2 of the Private Housing Finance Law. There's been an ongoing rehab of the project for the past 5 years. The 2013 loan began the rehab of the property, and there's a new 2018 loan to continue the rehab. The insured loan amount is only $30,000 per unit, which equals 33% of the project's total development cost of $91,000 per unit. And because it is a co-op, we underwrite it at 1.0 rather than 1.05, so as to not unnecessarily increase the maintenance to the shareholders. It's a heavily subsidized project in addition to the insured co-first mortgages. There's $59 million in existing restructured Mitchell-Lama debt, a new $10 million HPD home fund subordinate loan, a $3 million HDC Resolution A subordinate loan, and a additional $3 million HDC subsidy loan.
Anyone have questions for Mike on this? Jonathan, yeah.
Yeah, thank
Morning,
you.
Joyce.
Just quickly. Morning. So are they asking for 2? Is there co-first mortgage 1 and co-first mortgage 2?
Yes.
So the first is for 33.7 and the second 15.3?
Yes.
And we're being asked by insurance on both for an aggregate of,
49 million.
got it.
And we insure 50%, so our liability is 24.5.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mike, I know it's probably a long story, so pardon me, but just very briefly, what happened at this project? In other words, there's this big outstanding, the original loan, there's roof work, there's other repair work. It just feels like a project that's had, the buildings have had some challenges over the years.
I think it's been
And-
both financial and structural. And I think the structural is largely a function of the age of the project. So it was developed in '61. I think the financial issue is it appears that they never really serviced the debt on the original Mitchell-Lama debt going back to which is
Right.
not that unusual, going back to '61. The maintenance charges are modest and the selling prices are very modest. So while it's a Mitchell-Lama, I think it's a pretty low income, there are Mitchell-Lamas and Mitchell-Lamas, and I think this is a low income Mitchell-Lama.
But this restructuring gives you confidence.
It does, I think, both because they will finish the rehab, the ongoing
Right.
rehab, and there's new debt at an affordable interest rate, and very little debt service on the substantial existing debt.
Okay. Any other questions for Mike or Lauren? If not, Lauren, why don't you?
The resolution before the Mortgage Insurance Committee is recommending approval of mortgage insurance and a commitment for the provision thereof for Franklin Plaza Apartments, 2085 Second Avenue, Manhattan, New York County. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried.
Thanks, Lauren. Item 5, resolution recommending approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $14,243,318 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for 16 Emma Street in downtown Binghamton in Broome County of the Southern Tier. Mike, back to you.
This is a neat project. It comprises the historic readaptation of a former factory building into 100 workforce housing units and almost 35,000 square feet of commercial space. In addition to the insured first mortgage, there's a $2 million New York State Urban Revitalization Initiative grant, $5 million in historic tax credits, and a 20-year pilot with both the City of Binghamton and the Broome County IDA. The project is being developed near SUNY Binghamton University, new schools of pharmacy and nursing, and near HFA Century Apartments in Johnson City. Project is being developed by Braxton Capital and Matthew Paulus. And Paulus is an experienced developer of historic readaptation projects upstate. He's previously done the Doyle Hardware Building on Main Street in Utica and the Dietz Building in Syracuse. And this will be the third loan we've insured for entities controlled by Paulus. Total exposure of $40 million. The insured loan amount is $142,000 per unit, which equals 57% of the project's total development cost of $250,000 per unit. And there's $3.7 million in developer equity, which comprises 15% of the project's total development cost. The project would break even with a pro forma 18% vacancy rate or a 40% increase in operating expenses. It would also break even with a pro forma 63% vacancy rate in the commercial space.
It's good, it is.
Yeah.
It's a good project, and it's, compared to the last one, a manageable size.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not very much. It's interesting to see that stuff is starting in Binghamton.
Yeah.
Because that's been sort of late in the.
No, but we've also, just in recent meetings,
We did HFA did
HFA in Johnson City, we did
Mhm.
Manufactured Home Park in Elmira, we've done, some other things in a couple other things in Binghamton, but also in the surrounding area. And you're right that a big anchor for this is BU, very big anchor. Great, any questions for Michael Lauren? Yeah, Jonathan?
Just quickly, what is how do you find workforce and workforce housing? And if it's just income-based,
I guess it's projects that are affordable but are not income restricted, subject to a regulatory agreement. So they're not tax credit projects. There is no regulatory agreement, but they're affordable, generally between 80 and about 120% of AMI.
is there a requirement that the applicant,
There is not.
tenant sign something about their income?
No.
So, to Jonathan's point, then what's the difference between a workforce project and a market rate project? This could be market rate for Binghamton, right?
Yes. Yes, it could.
So maybe more of a branding thing, it feels like.
Yes.
Developer calls it a workforce project, and sounds good.
It does.
It's still a good project.
It does.
Right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
But it's a good question, because it gets at the, yeah.
Well, and I think also for us, and Mike has said this before, in terms of how you look at projects that come in and whether to insure or not, is looking at other investments. So, right, in this case, you have, it's getting, it has historic tax credits, plus what's the other thing?
It has a $2 million New York State Urban Revitalization
URI,
Initiative.
right? So we're trying to do sort of coordinated investment with other sort of state initiatives. So while we're not investing, we're insuring, it sort of helps support the URI investments.
And the location of this one is near last month's project, or?
It's not far from the HDC project the Century project in Johnson City.
Right.
Yeah, we could look back, Jonathan, but we've seen some other projects in downtown Binghamton and in general in Broome County. a lot of the economic activity is actually in the county, not in downtown Binghamton. And people are trying to bring business and life back to downtown. It's a workforce project, and this is a subject for another day, but it could be seen as a workforce project if it's seen as part of a broader economic development strategy for the city of Binghamton, where there are efforts, and there have been, right, to restore old properties, to bring business back and employers back to downtown Binghamton. I'm thinking of Security Mutual, the insurance company, that's the anchor really there. And so I think you have to think of it more broadly as you're trying to do sort of downtown revitalization projects in some upstate cities like Binghamton that have seen a real hemorrhaging of jobs and investment and tax revenue from their downtown areas. That workforce housing means, yeah, it's for workers. It's part of a broader package to attract workers and investment back to the downtown area. It's almost like the special population are the workers and people who are employed and can pay the rents. It's a good question. Any other questions or comments for this project for Mike? It's got us thinking. Great. Lauren, up to you.
The resolution before the Mortgage Insurance Committee is recommending approval of mortgage insurance and a commitment for the provision thereof for 16 Emma Street, Binghamton, Broome County. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried.
Great. And the next, our last item this morning for the Mortgage Insurance Committee is an informational item that Mike will discuss.
The mortgage recording tax for the state fiscal year ended March 31st was about $157 million, which was 99% less than the $172 million in the state fiscal year ended March of 17. And that in turn was 9% less than the $189 million in the state fiscal year ended March of 16.
That correlates with a recent article in Bloomberg reporting that there's been in the first quarter of this year, there's been a 25% drop in signed contracts for residential sales in the city. And I know we're seeing that on Long Island. It seems to be getting clear that there's the market's crested for the moment.
Yeah.
And Mike, that's a trend you've noted on a monthly basis,
Yes.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Mike or Lauren? If not, if there's no further business, we'll ask for a motion, Lauren, to adjourn.
And assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned.
Great. Thank you both.
Welcome.
Very good. Thank you.